What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for a little non-sports comic book talk day. Instead of the broad-based news and hit on some random things, we're going to focus our attention in on one particular thing, and that is the Goldin auction results from this past weekend. There was a bunch of Marvel cards and, really, honestly, more interesting, a bunch of comics that look a little ugly. We'll talk about it. Like, comment, subscribe. If you want to check out the Goldin auction results, you could go to Goldin's website and search or do your own. I pulled some of the interesting ones out. Like I said, we're going to talk Marvel cards and then shift into comic books. So Marvel cards first. There was one, just broadly speaking, one auction that I thought drastically underperformed. And then everything else I actually thought was kind of not that bad, all honesty. First up, let's talk about this blue PMG set. This one's a little weird. This went for $76,000, almost $77,000. This one had previously sold, air quotes, I guess, on Goldin back in June for $66,000. So there was some speculation, like, was this shilled? Was it non-paid? I honestly don't know. I don't know the seller, so maybe it went unpaid, maybe it didn't. Maybe the person that bought it just decided they didn't want it anymore and reflipped it. I honestly don't know. But it only had 2 bids last time. This time it ended up with 28 bids. We'll see if it gets relisted again, I guess. But just very curious to see this actually finish $10K over the June sales price. So that was intriguing, seeing that little bit of a bump up. This is the one that I thought underperformed. This is a complete red set of 2013 Fleer Retro. Now, I did not, once again, glance through all the grades here. I see the Spider-Man is a 7, the Iron Man's a 9, Cap's a 7, Thor's an 8, Deadpool's only a 6, Wolverine's a 9. I mean, these are not, like, terrible in the grand scheme of things. A lot of 9s, some of the good characters in 9s. You want to see that for sure. This only went for $30K. I am surprised by that one. That seems light, in my opinion. Maybe it's not. It's hard to say in the current market anymore. But that just feels a little low to me. I could be completely wrong. Curious for your thoughts and comments down below on that one. Do you think that this feels a little light for a complete red set, especially from 2013? And once again, other than the Spider-Man, these grades aren't exactly the worst in the world. Next up, green. This one, honestly, not that bad. It's a BGS 8.5, which, a lot of people are not a big fan of BGS in Marvel. And then 8.5 is kind of a weird grade. This is the 2017 green. This went for $85K. No direct comparisons, but we have some PSA 8s to compare it to. So 8.5 went for $85,000. Back in August, we have an 8 that went for $82,400. So obviously slightly lesser grade on paper, but I think a PSA 8 and a BGS 8.5 actually probably sell closer together than most people think. This one, huge drop. This is a case of Fleer Retro 2013. Back in February, during the absolute peak of the market, or near the peak of the Marvel card market, an open case sold for $300,000, 6 boxes. This past weekend, a sealed case, G.I. Joe, could it be? Went for $73,000. That's not BBC wraps. We're actually probably safe on this one. Went for $73,000. So a almost $230,000, $260,000 drop on a 2013 retro case. These things are pretty rare. They definitely do not come up very often, especially 2013. Also an intriguing price on that one from a sealed wax perspective, but absolute bloodbath on that one. Once again, this is going back to the absolute peak of the peak. That late February, in the early March was really when things were pure bonkers. Pure bonkers. So that's the Marvel card stuff. There was a bunch of other stuff that sold too. I just kind of picked out some of the more ones that had interesting talking points about them. So once again, if you want to look at more Marvel card results, go check out Goldin's sold listing page. Let's switch over to comic books. Comic books really took a beating on this one, and this is some pretty higher end stuff. This isn't in a market that I play in at all. We're going to be talking about AF-15s here, Journey of the Mystery 83s, super high grade Hulk 181s. The net, and I did not pull every single comic book that sold. There was a lot. I didn't look up prices on all of them, but they all, to me, at a quick glance, all felt like they went low. I was talking to Swagglehouse earlier today, recording this on Sunday afternoon, and he had mentioned that they were watching the Heritage auctions, which have not ended at time of recording. So I don't know how those ended up, but he thought maybe things were going to trend low on Heritage. There was multiple AF-15s listed, a bunch of high-end books, and maybe not a lot of buyers. So we'll see how that comes out. I'm sure he'll do a video covering the results from that. Him or Ryan from Automatic Comics will probably cover that. So let's go ahead and dig into this. We have an AF-15 off the get. This is a CGC 5.0 off-white to white. Went for $50,000. To put that in comparison, this is the GPA for a 5.0. September, $57K. August, $55K. July, $49K. So about the same. And then we see some silly numbers. $100,000, $63,000, $78,000, $84,000, $78,000 just at the beginning of this year. Now, I will say, I personally don't think the color looks that great on this one. That may have hurt this a little bit. You could see the red on Spider-Man's suit looks more orange than red to me. I'm assuming that kind of hurt this one a little bit. I don't know how much. This is, like I said, this is not a world that I plan. But I have to imagine if this presented better, it probably would have sold for a little bit more. So I'm guessing that's what held this one back. Regardless, it's definitely a pretty big drop from the beginning of the year. And even, I guess I could see, if a 5.0 presented really well, it going for 57,000, and one that does not present super great or not as good with color specifically, going for about 7K less. I could see that. So this one's not like the worst thing in the world. Some of these other ones are going to get pretty gnarly though. X-Men #1, CGC 5.0. Once again, a little caveat on this one. There is a stain across the front, or at least what looks like a stain. You can kind of see it here going through the middle of the book. Right there, centered in. Right there. And then it looks like it kind of goes up. Maybe not up there. More so just right in the middle there. Something going on there in the middle. So this was a 5.0. This went for $15,600. To give you some perspective, 5.0s. One just sold in October, just a couple days ago, for $21,000 almost. Prior to that, 17, 19, 26, 23, and 25 going back to the beginning of the year. So a pretty decent drop off there as well on an X-Men 1.0. Off-white to white pages. Once again, I'm wondering if this stain in the middle kind of held this one back a bit, but still a pretty significant cut on that one. Two Hulk 181s that I wanted to talk about in particular. An 8.0 went for $5,500. I could tell you that's what 54 went for $5,400, 55. $5,400 is what I paid for my 6.5 white pages, and this is off white pages. That's not going to swing it that much. I paid $5,400 for mine probably a year ago. I think that was about a year ago when I bought mine, and that was a 6.5 white pages. This presents pretty well. I don't see any significant issues. It is at 8.0. It should. Little mark there on the back of some sort. Don't know what that is. It's like crayon almost. But yeah, pretty decent drop there, at least from what I know that I paid for a 6.5. And when I bought my 6.5 for $5,400, that was actually like a solid deal. I got a little bit below current market value when I purchased my 6.5. The crazy one, CGC 98, 181, first appearance of Wolverine, went for 86,000. Looking at sales of this, in September, one sold for 138,000. In June, one went for 102,000. And then April, we have 96 and 84,000. And this is coming off the heels of, you know, the Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine news. Not that MCU stuff is not gonna swing a $100,000 9.8 book that much, I don't think. You know, this is the pinnacle of the pinnacle for a 181. I believe there is a 9.9 on the census, and I'm not sure how many 9.8s are on there. Let's take a quick look. 9.8's 136, and 9.9, there is 199 out there. So I can't imagine what that one would go for. I don't know the last time that one sold, if ever. It's not listed on GPA, so it probably never sold publicly, or at least on one of the places that they track. But needless to say, pretty decent drop off on that one from what it had been selling for, at least compared to the last three sales at 96, 100, and 138 to get down to 86K. Next up, Journey in the Mystery 83, first appearance of Thor. Obviously, iconic book, iconic cover. This is from 1962. Went for 28,000, we'll just call it 29,000. 7.0, last couple sales. You have to go back to June at 62K, April at 40,000, and March at 35,000. Let's see if we can find something that's a little bit more recent than that. Doesn't look like it. We have a 5.0 in September at 20,000. And this one went for 28,000 for a 7.0. So even if you go back to the 7.0s that had sold earlier in the year, just based off the last sale, that's 62K to that's a $30,000 drop. And on this one, the one prior to that, it's a $10,000 drop, and then a $7,000 drop, $12,000 drop on that one, $7,000 drop on that one. So rough times for the first appearance of Thor. Finishing up the list here, Fantastic Four #1, the first family of Marvel, absolutely mega key. This in a 5.0 off-white to white pages actually looks like it's in pretty good shape for a 5.0. Especially on the front anyway. Yeah, back looks good too. This presents pretty well. Maybe a little bit of a stain there up in the corner, but pretty decent looking for a book from 1961. This sold for 25,000. In a 5.0, we have some recent sales. 33,000 back in September, so about an 8K drop there. August 28th, one went for just over 31,000. And then going back earlier in the year, June, 57,000, April, 50,000. So almost basically a full 50% plus drop, 60-70% drop on Fantastic Four #1. So Marvel Mega Keys did not fare well on this latest Golden, as all collectible markets continue to decline / correct. In my opinion, the sports card and Marvel card market are probably a little further along in the correction cycle than the comic book market is. The comic market seems, based off what I've seen over the last couple years that I've been following both pretty closely, it seems to lag behind whatever sports specifically is doing. So I think when you actually see sports start to level out, I think you could predict comics starting to level out. And these are still general corrections from the overall boom. It'd be interesting when GPA updates with these sales. I think they track Golden. So that went for, what did that go for? It went for 25K. So that puts it back at January 2021 pricing. So essentially, that's actually under or right in line where it was pre-pandemic. So from like a Silver Age index standpoint, that trend line is going to be looking a lot closer to pre-boom, if not maybe even overcorrecting. That's the thing that I really want to keep my eye on, especially on silver and Bronze and Copper Age keys, does the market overcorrect? And you could say the same thing about sports cards and Marvel stuff. Does the market overcorrect because of all the negativity? And when I'm saying negativity, I'm not talking about like content, but more like just market negativity, outside factors, the world in general, recession talk, election talk, just all of it. Inflation. Does the market overcorrect on some of this stuff? And is there going to be opportunities to sneak in and grab some absolute steals? I think possibly so. That's all I got for you guys and girls today. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.